Battleline podcast for the audience. I know we spoke about 9/11 2001 as well as 9/11 2012 last episode, but to kind of peel back the curtain, we're recording this on Friday, even though you're hearing it on Monday or after. But it is 9/11 as we're recording. We're going to talk about it. We also have a great guest coming on, Tom Block. But before we do, there's some great sponsors that keep this show going, keep us doing what we do. One of them, of course, being Medieval Industries. They manufacture the only fully adjustable foregrip on the market. The 360-degree VFG mounts to all tactical rails and allows you to swivel and lock the grip into any position on the fly, whether you're hunting, shooting for sport, or challenging yourself in precision tactical shooting competitions. This unique adjustable foregrip will become a natural extension of your rifle. Medieval has expanded their product line to include a quick detach tripod and most recently, quick detach adjustable monopod. They've designed and engineered necessary components to create a tactical shooting system and have integrated the QD tripod into their line of modular quick detach accessories. Medieval's newest setup, the Overwatch Commander, is an extremely stable shooting platform that's quickly and easily deployed in tight spaces. This new lightweight, compact system is capable of what many heavier, larger tripods on the market can do and allows for widespread accessibility because of its small footprint. The entire system weighs just under 6 pounds and deploys in seconds. Medieval Industries is committed to providing all gun enthusiasts with precision-engineered, high-quality weapon accessories. All products are designed and developed with first-rate materials for strength and endurance. I actually just talked to the guy who designed it and their creator, Steve, and I know we're going to start to see Medieval stuff available in some big retailers. I don't want to mention which yet because they're not there as of now, but what they're doing is completely innovative. It's unlike anything else in the market right now, and you know that better than anybody.
Yeah, brother. They do a fantastic job as far as the ability to get in natural positions. A lot of the stuff that you have with the attachments, especially foregrips or when you're doing tripod mounts, which nobody really has a small tripod mount, especially a QD tripod mount, which you quick detachment means you can put other pieces to it. Like I say, like Legos. But a little bit, but a little stronger than Legos. But the thing is being able to get in those natural fighting positions. You're just more comfortable, and you can get a better sight picture. You can be more stable, and you fatigue so much less. People forget that. They just forget. They think that they're going to be able to keep going and keep going and keep going. And I'm telling you, right now, you just never know if you're ever in a firefight how long that's going to last. God forbid you ever have to be in one. I hope nobody ever is one. But sometimes they do last as long as 13 hours, quite possibly. I've heard that happen.
I don't want to laugh because it's a serious, I don't know how to even respond to that. But yeah, of course.
But the other thing is that you do want to maintain as much of that energy as you can in natural body positions. How you do that, so you're not having to muscle everything into position, and that's what. And again, just a smart guy that Steve is awesome and did something that I wish I would have thought of sitting in my barracks there in Iraq, and I didn't. It's something that he's got by the forefront, and you should check him out. Definitely check him out when you get a chance. Medieval Industries, fantastic company, and Steve is a tremendous individual, well, tremendous ethics, and just a great overall guy. When you talk, he really wants to help.
Yep, you say it best, man, and it's mid-evil.com. This thing is getting high praise in the special operations community, not just from you, from Navy SEALs, all different types of guys. So check them out, mid-evil.com. You hear us regularly talk about CBD. CBD has become extremely popular in the past year, making it more and more difficult to navigate and choose the right company and product. That's where Ned comes in. They produce the highest quality full spectrum CBD extracted from organically grown hemp plants, all sourced from an independent farm in Paonia, Colorado. Ned is a wellness brand offering science-backed and nature-based solutions that offer an alternative to prescription and over-the-counter drugs, zero isolates, no synthetic ingredients, and you've heard us talk about their third-party lab testing, all right there on the site. So check it out. Ned Full Spectrum Hemp Oil only contains 2 ingredients, full spectrum hemp extract and non-GMO extract MCT oil. That's it. Cannabinoids have a wide range of benefits and regulate nearly every biological system in the human body. So whether you're using it as a sleep aid, anti-inflammatory, pain reliever, post-traumatic stress, it's doing great things for people. We've talked about the immunity blend that they have, the body butter, of course, and be among the first to try Ned's new product before it even comes out. For a limited time, they'll automatically add one free sample, $12 value, with any purchase of $40 or more of their sleep blend sample, which people are loving. And I know you use everything from the body butter, immunity blend. We talk about Ned all the time. Just a great company, great people.
And they help, even on a day like today, you're going to hear me joke a little bit. It's how I deal with stress a bit throughout the episode here. But, they have helped me and has given me that little push to get over the edge and get past the hard, the demons that veterans know what I'm talking about, especially the demons that used to come in the daytime and the night. And it is. The CBD oil has helped me level out, and it's helped me get that smile back that I was missing for 2-3 years. And I have to say I'm glad they came into our lives, especially the podcast lives, but just my life in general, because it's made me feel like the Tonto rolled again. Granted, you have to do a lot with your head to get it right, but sometimes you need that little push, and that little push was the CBD oil. And I never would have tried it if it wasn't for this podcast, and it wasn't for Ned coming to us and saying, "Hey, we want to be part of the podcast." There's a lot about their character as well. So, guys, try it. If veterans are having issues, give it a shot. And anybody in there that's having issues with those demons that come in the day and the night, that CBD oil works well. And the body butter for you guys that work out, fantastic stuff. My elbow that used to be sore all the time is gone. The soreness is completely out of it. It's just a tremendous thing. Dude, check out Ned. They're tremendous company, tremendous individuals there in Colorado.
For sure. Yeah, and we've said it before. The one disclaimer that we always add is if your livelihood depends on you taking a drug test, the CBD does contain a minuscule amount of THC. You're not going to get high or anything like that, but it's less than 0.3% as allowed by law. So if it's your livelihood, you may want to skip out on it and try some of the other stuff like the body butter. But for the rest of you, it's a miracle. So yeah, check it out. If you want to check out Ned and try their CBD for yourself, we have a special offer for the podcast audience. Go to helloned.com/Battleline or enter code Battleline at checkout for 15% off your first one-time order or 20% off your first subscription order plus free shipping. That's HELLONED.com/Battleline to get 15% off your first one-time order or 20% off your subscription order plus free shipping. Thank you, Ned. Also, of course, every show you hear us talk about Fort Scott Munitions. Fort Scott is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition that is designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in all 50 states, as well as direct online through fortscottmunitions.com. Use the exclusive promo code Battleline for 15% off your order, only available to listeners of this podcast, the Battleline Podcast. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Peranto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline Podcast. Appreciate you guys checking out all of our great sponsors. Let's get right into everything.
From Omaha, Nebraska to New York City, from planet Earth to extraterrestrial life in space, a podcast with no equal, engaged in unconventional warfare through your speakers and headphones. This is a show about embracing the suck, conquering your demons, and finding God in the face of adversity. Chris Tonto Peranto.
Twitch is on. motherfucker, I'm going to shoot you in the face.
Ian Scotto.
You know, Ian and I have been dating for a long time.
You are now tuned into the Battleline podcast.
The switch is on, Battleline podcast, and there's a lot to get into. But I mean, first and foremost, even before we recorded, of course, just reflecting on this day, 9/11/2001 is a big date for all of us, any red-blooded American, and 9/11/2012 for you. I can't say more. You know, hits home as personal as it gets.
Yeah, it's a tough day. Honestly, I'm thinking about it. Why the hell did I say I do a podcast on 9/11?
I was like, I remember you did say though, because Tom Block was coming on. You were like, you know what? I've got my Ranger buddy. I think I'll get through this.
And that's that. Tom will help me. And Tom's been through his own. Believe me, in his adversity, which you'll hear his story here. But,
he's a legend.
He is. He's just a fantastic guy and a fantastic father. Just tremendous father and husband. But yeah, it's tough. But you know, I can't say that the thoughts that have gone from that night don't go on every day. It's so you know it's just something you deal with, and there's other things that pop up as far as the many deployments that I've been lucky enough to do. But you know, you get through the day and you handle it. And I have a tremendous family that helps me get through it. And a 5-year-old, that's what I love. 5-year-old, ignorance is truly bliss. You know, he doesn't know what's going on. He just knows he wants to play with daddy. So that gets me out of that mindset too. But it's tough. But we'll get through it today, and we'll have a good episode. And for all of you that just go through adversity like I go through every once in a while, you just keep grinding through. You keep taking that step, and eventually then you get through it, and sometimes you learn a lot from it. Sometimes you have a good day out of it. So we'll see. It's gone okay so far. Got my coffee here, talking to Ian, and we're you know, it's a nice day out. I'm rambling a little bit, so obviously I'm a little bit out of my mind state more than normal. But
I completely get it. You know, and you're talking about your son. I think I just always see kids are smarter than we sometimes realize. How much of it do you think he comprehends of what you even did?
Of what your 5-year-old, 5-year-old, nothing. 15-year-old, he knows.
Of course.
You know, and I haven't told this story. This is a story. When I went to Yemen after Benghazi, my 12-year-old, my daughter, who would have been 6, that was 27 years ago. So she would have been 5 at the time. This was the only time it ever happened. Every time I go to the airport and leave, you know, it was tough for the kids a little bit, but they were so used to it because I was gone all the time from when they were born. It was like I was just saying, Daddy's going to work. And that one time, I don't know how she figured it out, because Benghazi would have happened when she was 4, and the movie hadn't come out. Nothing had come. Nobody. Actually, we talked about it a little bit with my wife, and I remember she started crying. She never cried when I left. She started bawling. She was 5. And she was still a little girl, still in a little booster seat. And she says, Daddy, I don't want you to go fight back at me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's never happened. It was 11 years of that. So I remember that because that was tough because, and I had to go, you know, I'd already signed up. I was going to plane to head over to Sana'a, head over to Yemen, and either go to Sana'a. And so, you know, that was a turning point for me. Like maybe this chapter needs to. And then, of course, the path led us to that way. God works in mysterious ways, brother. That's what the intention was. But I remember that just as much as I remember 9/11 and that night of 9/12, seeing all the firefights, things going on, fighting, shooting guys and getting shot at, and watching Ron and Bub get blown up. I remember I watched them get blown up. It's not like a figure of speech. I was shooting over their heads when the mortars were hitting that rooftop, and I saw the mortar that actually hit and just blasted everybody on that roof. And it was so that hurts me just as much because it was like, oh my gosh, what have I been doing with my kids? But that sticks with me, and it sticks that your kids really do know what's going on, even if you think that they don't from an early age. Because that hurt. That really did hurt. Yeah. But I came back and then the other 3 years of a chapter that had its own trials and tribulations with the book and the movie happened, but it got me to the point where I'm at now and where we're at now with the podcast, and things are, things are great. They're
I agree.
fantastic. So it's just got to keep, that's what I tell people, just keep grinding. It's awful, but keep moving. Sometimes it's great. Keep moving forward, and you're going to be on the path that you're supposed to be on. Just don't fight that path. And it did. But I do remember that. I still remember. I remember her little face, and she was just bawling. And I was like, I hugged my wife, and like, I got to go. Hugged her, and I got out of there because I think if I would have watched her for another 5 seconds, I would have not went. And I just felt like I had to get back on that horse, so and go back overseas one more time, at least, just to say, okay, I'm not going to let this mess me up. And maybe nobody's going to come and help us, but I do know I have my teammates around me there, so I know that I at least got a few guys there that got my back. Let's go overseas again, even though I didn't really believe in the mission.
I never asked you this, but it's, and I don't even know if you've really talked about it, but I think, especially here in New York on today, because of 9/11/2001, there's always kind of a strange feeling in the air. People don't discuss it. It's like we all know, as long as you're of a certain age, that we all remember what happened on this day. And it's in the back of all of our minds. You're not going to go, I was just at the bank. You're not going to talk to people about it, but we're all thinking about it on some level, just as red-blooded Americans. On that day, 9/11/2012 was kind of 9/11/2001 in the back of your mind on some level.
No, you have the remembrance because it comes on the TV sets, even on the Al Jazeera networks and the foreign networks. Al Libya was a TV network over there. It still played around the world because it was a huge attack. I mean, you attacked the United States of America. Basically, you flew 2 missiles. It got hit by 2 missiles, which is unheard of. Oh my gosh, America's getting attacked everywhere else in the world. It happens except the United States of America. That's what's so great about our country. So it was huge news still in other countries as well, not just the United States, and even in the Middle East and North Africa. So we were watching it on TV. You go to the Chow Hall, it's on TV. You can't not find something about 9/11/2001, no matter what country you're in on 9/11. You can't. It's going to be everywhere.
Yeah. And by the way, can I just jump in here? I'm thinking you're saying symbolically missiles.
Because
the conspiracy theories out there. Tonto says that the World Trade Center.
No. Okay. Let's put. But if you look at it, what is an airplane? It's a big.
For sure. But you know all the stuff out there. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Hey, for all you crazy conspiracy theorists, I am not saying that we flew missiles. Oh my gosh!
As crazy as it is, do you know this? I've heard. You just have to laugh, I guess, at some of the stuff, but. There was a guy, and you can look this up. I'm not making this up. There was a economics advisor in the Bush administration who has the craziest conspiracy theory of them all. He believes that the planes were a hologram, that they weren't even actual planes. And it's like, how do people believe this stuff? That's why I jumped in.
I do. It's fine because I do laugh, and I'm glad because it breaks attention, brother. It is. It's hard for me today, and it makes me laugh because that's just silly. That's just a silly. But get back on the 9/11. You do. You're working though too. So, and honestly, at that point too, a lot of guys, especially I think within the community, Delta SEAL Rangers and TACPs and CCTs and PJs, it was part of a war. It was part of an attack, and we don't get bogged down on it. I didn't say, oh my gosh, this was terrible for it. It was, but it wasn't. It doesn't stick with me throughout the day. It doesn't. It was shit. We got attacked. Well, this is why I'm here. Okay, I'm doing my job. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. So you feel bad, but you don't. It doesn't really. It did. At least me. It didn't. It wasn't like something hidden in the back where we couldn't talk about it. Also, I went around a bunch of guys that we can talk about. It's not like something we have to keep quiet. It's like, hey, remember that? Remember what happened? Where were you at? What were you doing? God, with those sons of bitches hit it. We can talk about it out in the open. So maybe that's the difference. Especially when you're deployed, you do discuss it, but then you just go on throughout your day because you have ops and missions you got to get done throughout the day. So you don't really think about it because you got your own safety you have to think about. And then, like what happened with us, we didn't know at the time, but we were going to have our own 9/11. And I think if we would have just been, worried about it, and we're thinking about it all day about what happened in our own country during the attack of 2001, the outcome probably would have been different in 2012, but we did. Okay, what happened? Put it aside. All right, we got a job to do. What do we have to do there? What is my op tempo today? What's my mission plan today for what I have to do? Am I in QRF today? What do I have to get done to make sure that if we have to roll out that gate, everything's working? So you can immerse yourself in other things. Where I think a lot of people don't have, especially now, you can't even. I mean, there's no place to go, no place to work, no place to really hang out. I think it will get better, but people that don't have a lot to do, I think can dwell on it, and it can take you down that path that puts your brain in the wrong mindset where you're I don't know, you can go down that slippery slope of all the way to hell. Listen, I mean, literally. Yeah, bro. I overseas whenever it happened, and I was overseas deployed quite a few times when 9/11 came about. It was okay. It happened. Well, I'm here working. This is why I'm here. So let's go figure out what we need to do for it. And you just didn't let it eat at you or sit at you or think that there was a retribution. Oh, we got to get him back. Oh, 9/11, we got to kill everyone. No, it wasn't like that either. It was, we got a job to do. What do I have to do today? All right, that's shit. It happens. I'm here. This is the reason I'm here. I signed up for this stuff. This is what I want to be doing. All right, what needs to get done today? And then you just go on with life. But you do remember. I still have the haunting pictures. I have my own thoughts of 9/11, 2012, but the pictures I have in my head of 9/11, 2001, I have a few, and I think still anything where the people jumping out of the buildings. That is just, that's stuff that no matter how hardened you are, watching somebody jump from a 50-story building just to escape the flames and having pictures of their bodies plummeting to the earth, that's going to get anybody. So that's why but you can't let it eat at your brain all day. Go find something to do. That's why today, I'll go make myself busy so I don't let just those images, but also the images that I have, vivid images on the ground that night in 2012. I won't let them get to me. You got to find a way to not let them. Does that make sense, though? Maybe I went around about it.
No, but what you're saying is true. And you know what I think, and before we get to Tom, but I think it's safe to say, and you could tell me right or wrong, it wasn't a coincidence that they picked that date.
Oh, no.
And it wasn't a YouTube video. It was, there was a reason.
And I've always said the enemy is, and we'll give this quick. The enemy is a lot smarter than what you think. They use propaganda better than anybody in the world. They use the social media networks better than anybody in the world as far as recruiting. And of course they picked that name because that was symbolic. And they had a huge high value target that wasn't protected. I don't think people realize. And Pastor Stevens, you're like attacking the vice president of the United States. You're attacking a 3-star general. You're going to get a 3-star general that's unprotected. He is looked at highly in Libya as a savior of Libya. He loved the Libyan people. They loved him. And for have him flapping out there, I mean, it couldn't have fell in their laps any better than that. Like, oh, here you go. Yeah. So, yeah, of course. And we would have done the same thing. It's completely symbolic. And I just didn't think they did the research enough to know, or they just didn't think that we were very strong as far as the 6 of us there, that we had a group there that could respond. And that was really what we were there for, is to respond to things like that and then do our own little ops. So luckily for us, they made a little bit of a mistake. But they did still maybe not. I didn't think they were trying to kidnap him, brother. I don't really think they were trying to kill him. I think that would have been more symbolic. But it did accomplish at least a secondary goal, which was they made it a statement, and he did end up dying, and then Sean Smith and then Tyrone and Glenn. So they did accomplish this goal as far as making a statement. But I don't think that was their original plan, was to go in, because they could have, if they would have come with the car bomb, they could have killed us all. They could have just blown the shit out. I mean, we couldn't have done a damn thing about it because we didn't have any assets that could handle a car bomb of the magnitudes I saw in Iraq and Afghanistan. So that's why I don't think their true intention was to kill everybody. It was to take prisoners and then to use them as propaganda. And just happened to throw a monkey wrench in that plan.
All right, guys. So here's the thing. Tom is joining us by speakerphone because we've had a bunch of different technical glitches with Squadcast. I realized that Tom is on Apple computer, so we've had issues with that. Then we tried Skype. long story short, we are back on Squadcast. We're trying to make this work. Tom is on by speakerphone, and we're going to work with what we have here. So Sergeant Tom Block, Army Ranger combat vet, recipient of many different distinguished military achievements, as well as, I should mention, 2014 Army Times Soldier of the Year, now working in the field of combating human trafficking, child sex trafficking, huge issues that need to be spoken about. And luckily, we do have guys in the special operations community that are fighting that fight. There's actually a chapter about Tom Block in the Patriots Creed by Chris, which is out now. Technical glitches aside, very glad to have you on for the first time, Tom, and be speaking here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Did you say that? It sounds like deja vu, man. Did you say that like 3 times already? I swear. Holy shit, dude. Well, it's good to have you on too, man. I appreciate you coming on, brother, and putting up with all of our snafus and shit show that we've got going on right now. But it's 9/11. We've got to have some fun with it. Got to make some humor out of this whole thing. So, man, appreciate it, buddy.
Having a couple laughs already with it. I love it.
Man, I know you've got your own story, and because of the technical glitches that we've been having, and we'll probably have a few more because Murphy's rearing his ugly head today. But tell, if you can, and we always get a lot of listeners. We got a lot of young listeners, guys that want to go in the military. So they do want to hear about your service and talk about it. And I understand how hard it can be to talk about some of the things, but I'd like you to get right into that if you could. Just your military service, why you joined, and then also even the day that really, I mean, being a ranger, you're always changing your life forever. There's always a day that changes your life forever when you're going with the 75th Ranger Regiment. But getting even into that day that did change your life and made you go on a different path. So, man, the floor is yours. Say what you want, joke what you want, do how you want to be a ranger, and just be yourself, brother, and tell these guys, what you decided, what you wanted to do, and how you wanted to get to that point of being the accomplished ranger you were, and then how you dealt with the adversity after the attack.
Yeah. So I guess it all starts with it's kind of funny how we're doing this on this day. This day was a big turning point in my life, as it was. I mean, I was in high school at the time, so I got to see it all happen on our box TVs that were hanging up on the wall in first and second and third hours of school. And from that point on, I knew I had a burning desire to want to serve. I was doing pretty good at wrestling in high school. Like, I was a wrestler all through my life. And I ended up getting a scholarship to college for wrestling. So that kind of put my plans to serve on hold, because I wanted to see how far I could take wrestling and maybe get an education at it. Well, I found out in college real quick that I was okay at wrestling, really good at drinking beer and chasing girls, and not so good at school. So I finished up my 4 years of eligibility with college wrestling and signed up for the Army without hesitation. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I got 4 years of college, but I don't have a degree. So it's kind of funny when they're like, yeah, I spent 4 years in college. Like, oh, what'd you get a degree? And I'm like,
oh, that's hilarious.
So it was one of those things. I had to get out of town and grow up a little bit if I wanted to take myself seriously, or if I have anybody else take me seriously, for that matter. And the natural choice of that is to join the Army and go to war, right? I mean, that's a sensible thing to do. So I go through basic training and all this kind of stuff, and doing pretty good. The drill sergeants are well, not more impressed, just more impressed than everybody else that sucks in basic training, because we all remember how cool we thought we looked, and then we looked, hindsight being what it is, and we were cherry as fuck.
Oh, and that's the is I had my BCGs. I remember having because I still had glasses at the time. Oh, I looked so hot in my birth control glasses, dude. And we had the old school ones. I didn't have my Ranger specs yet, so I got pictures of that going. Oh my gosh, how did I ever stay married with these I mean, I'm glad I was. I would never picked up a girl at all in basic training if I wasn't married. There's just no way.
Just the ugliest, god awful freaking things I've ever seen too. There's no way to look cool wearing those.
No.
You're like a big freaking dork. And then on top of it, you're actually tall and lanky, so you stick out in a formation as the biggest dork.
I still stick out as the biggest dork. So there's nothing to hide there.
We're both dorks. We both stick out like sore thumbs. It's a thing. So the drill instructor's like, hey, you want to do this? You want to be a ranger? I was like, what's that? Because to my knowledge, what rangers were I saw a blimp of it in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, but that part of it didn't really explain what Ranger Regiment was. Saw Black Hawk Down, but once again, they didn't really hit on what Ranger Regiment was, and I can't read, so I didn't read the book. And so I didn't know what Ranger Regiment really was, but I was like, well, what is it? And they're like, well, they're the best. I'm like, all right, I want to be the best. That's as simple as it was. And so I signed up, and next thing you know, we're going through airborne school and then on to Ranger Assessment and Selection Program. And we were like the third or fourth class to go through, so they're still going through the growing pains of transferring from RIP to RASP. And so we still had all the cranky E6s from RIP giving us the same attitude and love in RASP, but instead of it being 3 weeks long, it was 8 weeks long.
Yeah, and that's I went through RIP and the 3 weeks in RASP, and maybe go in the talk about the 8 weeks of you're going through it, and you're getting a lot of the 3 weeks we didn't learn chip, but just how to get the hell beat out of us, so. The 8 weeks when you get it, or you're learning a little bit more, so you were more prepared because you didn't have the time, I guess, to get trained up when you got to be a private at battalion. So you had to be ready to step off the plane, go to your battalion, and then you could have been deployed like the next day because we were at war. So tell me, in those 8 weeks, did they get you trained up? Were they teaching you more about how to be a ranger and less just how to suck? How to suck like a ranger, where you're just getting the hell beat out of you every day?
Well, so let's cut back to the fact that I was one of the first classes of RAS to go. So it's been 10 years, and a lot of evolution I'm praying to God, a lot of evolution has happened since then. Even when I was in, there was some evolution happening with how they're figuring out the best way to go about RAS. But I would still say that the mentality of let's take these privates, let's see if they're tough enough.
Yeah.
Mentally tough and physically tough enough. The first half, we're going to teach them a little bit here and there. Well, mostly we're just going to kick your shit in and see how tough you are and if you can hack it. And then the second half is, all right, let's give you a familiarization of things that we do in regiment, and that's going to be your mobility, airborne ops, shooting, so your marksmanship, your CQB. They'll teach you a little bit of combatives, so that way at least you've gotten into a fight at least before you get to battalion, and then some explosive training as well. So like all your breaching.
Oh,
stuff,
okay, all right.
That matter, whether it's explosive, mechanical, or what have you.
Sure.
So by no means do you come out of RASP an expert in all these facets of Ranger Regiment or the 5 pillars, but you do have a good familiarization. You've at least seen it before, so that way when you go to your team leader and they take you out to the range to set up a 18-inch ECT, you've at least seen it and you've at least seen what it does.
Okay.
So, and that was, I would say, yeah, when we got to battalion, we did know a thing or two about that. We knew how to calculate minimum safe distances and stuff like that with breaching. We did learn a little bit about CQB or how to barrier shoot a little bit better. But the bulk of our training happened once we got to battalion.
Sure.
We just got familiarization, and that was it.
And honestly, that's how it should be, because if you're getting the bulk of the training at battalion because you're going to be on your squad, you're working with your teammates and so forth. But that's what I assumed, and that's good. But it's good to hear that they're still, and you can't. I'm not going to dumb it down and try to church it down a little bit. You're still getting your shit kicked in because you got to have that. And I mean that's essential for all your pre-selection vetting to go into battalion to earn the tambourine now, which my old ass, I still got my black one. So but that's good to hear. So when you got there, man, you've been there for a few years. When did you start deploy? Did you start deploying right away, or were you? How was the rotation? I mean, how long were you there to really get familiarized with regiment and before you got on the bird and headed overseas?
So I have heard it where dudes would get to battalion and then like a couple days or a couple weeks later they're heading out. Sometimes I would say it's company dependent, battalion dependent, on the need. I've heard privates going with right away, getting their 2 weeks block leave after being in a battalion for 5 days, getting their initial issue and then going. I've also heard them going over mid-rotator so that way they can get fully in process, get all their shit.
Yeah.
I guess you could say it's, it's still needs dependent. But, I've been out for now, 4 years, so it could be different.
Sure.
But I got there, and, thankfully I got there when I did because I got there when they they just came off their last deployment and were on block leave. So I got for EIB, get all my initial issue, all that stuff, all the getting in the barracks, finding my where I'm going to be at the company AO, and getting settled in. And then they all came back and were like, fresh. I had been in battalion a little bit, and I actually know where a few things are. So that way I wasn't completely fucked up.
That, for all you out there, that is the worst feeling. My second time in, I came when everybody was on block leave and then coming back. So that is the worst feeling in the world as a new private when you're there and you're just every day waiting for people to come back and you're the new guy. Your mind goes so many different directions. You're like, oh shit, what are they going to do to me? And you're just waiting in the squad room until squad comes back from whatever they're coming back on. It is the
privates that came back at that time were salty as hell because they just got off Team Merrill, so they were crushing souls in Kandahar, and I come back and I'm this green as can be, wet behind the ears, baby.
Oh my!
And the only thing that helped me was the fact that I was 225 and stacked. That was my only grace.
That's all.
Just because of how the audio quality is here, we're going to go a little bit shorter than we usually do, and I do want to hear your story more in depth, and at some point we will do a part 2. But if it's all right, I want to fast forward to the story that's talked about in Chris's book, The Patriot's Creed, because it's a remarkable story.
One more outburst from you, Ian, and I will strangle you.
Touche. Well said. And honestly, yeah, Tom, I'd like to, people there. I know it because of course, the story, and I know fairly well. And then we talked to Luke Ryan a little bit about. Luke was there with you, but I would love people to hear because it's just I can't even imagine. And you're how you overcame not just that, but overcame after the incident and how you've succeeded, bro. Like, I'd love for the listeners to hear that really before the audio really turns to shit.
To kind of keep continuing on with the story. Got to battalion, made friends. Took my shots when I had them come in, and was on my 4th deployment in 3 years. Each deployment was about 4 months long. 2 weeks before deployment, you get vacation. 2 weeks after deployment, you get vacation. And then in between that time, it is nothing but training.
Yeah.
And then you're up for your next deployment, and it's rinse, recycle, repeat. And so I was on my 4th deployment, and we were in Kandahar, so southern Afghanistan.
Yep.
And it was a good deployment. I was having fun. We were getting on some good missions. And we got the mission, and it happened to be the day after my birthday, so I was all amped up, and my buddy Pat Hawkins, his birthday was October 2nd. I believe, or maybe it was the 1st. I'll have to check. Either way, it was our birthday mission, and I had another private who his birthday was October 3rd. So we were all amped up. It was like our birthday missions that we are going to go out on, and do God's work. And so we bird spin up, or we get the Warno drops. We get ready, get the brief, bird spin up. I remember the heat from the engines, all that stuff. Still hear the rotors, and run onto the back of the 47 and. They taxi on the runway, pick up, and we're off. 5 minutes later, we're landing on the X about 150 meters off the compound. It was a right turn out the back door, and we're right there. And then right after that, it was a matter of minutes and some broken ass patch too on my part, but we got across. And hey, they somewhat listened until the chick jumped up, ran at me, and blew herself up. Thankfully, she pulled the trigger a little early, and I used her boyfriend as a human shield, and I'm pretty sure that's what saved my life.
Wow.
Because he vaporized and she vaporized. And actually, so that chick is probably a dude in a burqa. So a very manly looking chick. It is not out of the realm of possibilities. I'm just gonna say that. And so from the bomb goes off. I'm throwing like I think 30 feet, and I'm just sitting there going like, holy fuck, that just happened. It's like the biggest kick in the nuts I've ever experienced in my life. Wow. Like seriously, it was like, whoa, wow. Whoa, I'm gonna puke up my pelvis now. God. And I just remember sitting there going like, all right, they blew us up and waiting for the machine gun fire, so I'm just gonna lay still because it was a big boom. And complex ambush being what they are, they blow you up and then hit you with machine gun fire. But I'm just hearing explosions, more explosions. There's no gunfire. And I'm like, man, I better say something, or if I die, my wife is gonna be pissed. She wasn't my wife, my girlfriend, but yeah, I was like, man, I better say something so I don't fucking die, or else she'll be pissed and I'll never hear the end of it. And so I raised my hand. I was like, help over here. And then all of a sudden I hear a little pitter patter. Oh, fuck. You're going to be all right, buddy. I'm like, great. I'm fucking dead. from the guy that came over and helped me out. And it just happened to be the senior medic, the battalion senior medic. And he pulled some life-saving shit for me that night, like administrative freeze-dried plasma.
Wow.
I had collapsed lungs, so we had to do some needle decompressions. I think I remember looking down and seeing 3 of them in my chest. I remember talking to him, walking and talking through with like blood sweeps and stuff like that, being like, hey, it's kind of hard to breathe and everything, trying to like keep myself mentally not panicking by remembering all the RFR training and just saying it when I felt it and going through it with what I was thinking with him.
Wow.
And through it we got together. So he did blood sweeps. We ended up putting, because I got fucking quads because I'm a squat-tastic man.
You are.
Tourniquets on each leg. It was pretty crazy. In order to get the bleeding to stop. And then he ended up giving me some freeze-dried plasma and then inoculating my right eye in the field, from what I remember hearing from the doctors later on. It was a field inoculation. So then he jabbed his fingers in my face, and I'm pretty sure he tickled my skull or my brain.
Wow.
That was awesome. And this all happened in 10 fucking minutes, and I was on a bird back to Kandahar Airfield.
Wow.
It was crazy. So they were on their shit that night for medevac. It was great because that's probably what saved my life, truth be told. And then some time in Kandahar, getting stabilized with a chest tube and some fluids in me. And then quick stop in Longshul. Maybe Longshul was when I got the chest tube. Anyways, by the time I got to Bethesda, Maryland, I had a chest tube and I was pissed off because that's when I woke up and I didn't know where the fuck it was. And apparently I was yelling at nurses through a trach in my throat, which was awesome. It scared them.
Wow. You sound like Stephen Hawking when you're doing that, dude. I just had to throw that in there when you're yelling at him through your trach tube.
I did probably. They were like, "What is he saying?" And I'm like, "Where am I?" But yeah, and then they finally got me to calm down a little bit and everything, and then from that point on, it was surgeries and road to recovery every time.
Sure.
And it's just, I know that my wrestling background, because I wasn't always a great wrestler. I was a very, very shitty wrestler for a very long time. And so I got the piss beat out of me a lot, and taught me a little bit about adversity training and everything like that. And I'm willing to bet that had a hell of a lot to play with my road to recovery and the resilience, my attitude with it. And then on top of that too, I had a great support system through all my Ranger brothers while I was still at third bat. I don't think, even with what I just told you about all my background with adversity and stuff, I don't know if I could have done it without them. Probably wouldn't have. I probably would have freaking started at 45. But I didn't, because I had my family there, my Ranger brothers, and then on top of my family, my awesome wife that just stuck by me and put up with my bullshit until I came out of it.
That's amazing. No, and that's important. I tell people, and I tell other veterans that you got your brothers, you have your people you serve with, but you do need that that immediate family as well. I think a lot of guys think they don't, or they go on tan and they have multiple wives over and they just can't get a relationship, and they can't figure out why they're not happy. I'm like, well, here's what you're missing. You've got your buddies. You can, some of them are even still working, or if you're not working, they're doing things that they enjoy to do, but they're missing that family structure, which is a wife and your kid. If you have kids, missing your kids. And that's, I think you and I are on the same page is just from when you wrote your story and listen to your story about how you overcame adversity. And it was the same with me. I was going through a hard time when I was writing the Patriots Creed, and I was listening and listening to how you were overcoming it, how you were dealing with it. And it was the wife, man. That was the one. I was like, well, I'm doing everything that he's doing. Why am I still feel like shit? And it's like, wait a second, he's got something that I don't. Oh, well, there it is. And I admire that, because there are guys that don't think that's what can make them happy. And I'm like, that is what needs to make you happy, having a good solid foundation at home with your wife. And then I remember when we talked, you have a small daughter, and you're a great father. I remember calling you when I was running in Grand Junction, calling you, and you were having to deal with your daughter who was just losing her mind, and you handled it so calmly, man. Where I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even. I remember those days where you just couldn't make your child happy, and you were doing an amazing job. So, bro, that's great. That's great to hear. And we want to have you on again, because I do want you to get a better sound quality. But I want people to follow you. I follow Tom Block and Tommy Block. Is it Tommy Block? What do we got? Ian on Instagram? Tommy Block on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram, Tommy Block 52.
And read a story, and then read about Tom. And the dude does have squat. He is the squat master. No, he has quads from it. He has the sexiest quads in the world. Even better than Rudy Reyes, I think. He's even better quads than real Rudy Reyes. And the dude has overcome so much more than I could even imagine, and he's still just a good dude after all that. And I know we didn't talk about it, but I do, because I think it's something that people remember, and I love. You have a prosthetic eye, dude. What do you have on that eye? If you don't mind me asking.
So funny thing about that eye, kind of going back to being a knucklehead ranger every now and then. Just this last weekend, Labor Day weekend, I was jet skiing on Newfound Lake in New Hampshire.
Oh, no.
And, I lost my eye.
You lost? That's what I was saying. You did? You lost it?
I lost it. It's at the bottom of the lake.
Okay, what was it then before you fucking Ranger? I swear, dude, you can't give Rangers anything. They're gonna break it or lose it.
Chris his credit for this story. There was a Captain America shield on that particular eye.
That was, and actually, if you guys search Tom Block on the internet, you can see that, and it's the coolest. But it's the coolest thing ever. Seriously, you can't give Rangers anything nice because they're gonna fucking break it or they're gonna lose it. Nothing. Son of a bitch.
Oh, I get another one. The first one I got, I turned into a keychain.
That's right. I remember that. I remember that. Okay, we're setting up a GoFundMe page for Tom Block's new Captain. No, I'm kidding. We'll take care. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. No GoFundMe page. Just kidding, guys. Don't do it. Dude, you're the man, dude. We got to have you on again when we got better sound quality. But I appreciate you. You've made me laugh today, and I was having a hard day this morning. So I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks, man.
So this is good. This is really good, and I'm glad that we got it in.
Good deal.
Thanks, Tom. No, we really appreciate it. And part 2, I definitely want to get into what you're doing with human trafficking because, as I said, luckily there's guys like you, George Hand, former Delta operator, who some of you listening may know, working in that field to combat what's going on. But we'll definitely follow up soon. I love your attitude about everything, which is, I think, Chris will say, typical of Rangers to be able to laugh at tragedy.
Yeah.
We're just idiots. What can we say?
Yeah. Well, finding the humor and silver linings, I'd say, is more along the lines of it.
Perfect. Well said. But hey, tell the wife and I know your daughter doesn't understand, but give her a hug, man, and yeah, be in touch. Holler at me if you need anything, man. Hit me up direct, okay?
Yep. Same to you.
All right, buddy.
Thank you, Tom. And seriously, man, thank you for all that you do. Seriously, because I said it to Chris before, you have a hell of a resume, man.
Yep.
Well, just building. I'm just getting started.
Well said. All right. Thanks, Tom.
Take care, buddy.
Thanks for having me, and I look forward to the next time.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Excellent having Tom Block on. I do apologize for the sound quality stuff. We're kind of figuring things out as we go along here. I mean, I'll be the first to say, guys, I'm used to recording things in a studio. I am not the most technical guy in the world. Don't pretend to be. But luckily, we got Tom on for a short but captivating interview, I think, about an incredible mission and an incredible guy. Before we move on to some other stuff, Fort Scott Munitions is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition that is designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in every state, as well as directly online through fortscottmunitions.com. Use our exclusive promo code Battleline for 15% off any order. When you go to checkout, just enter Battleline. Only available to listeners of the Battleline podcast. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Peranto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline podcast. You know what? On to something kind of lighter that I was going to mention, because I know you and I are the same with we don't take social media very seriously. Yeah. It's just a shit show, much like the recording of the show so far, which hopefully I'll edit together and for what you guys hear will sound good. But I don't even know if you're aware of this, but yesterday it was on Twitter, which is like the only social media I've personally been using.
I don't even watch Twitter. I don't on Twitter on the Twitter anymore. No idea.
So Killer Mike, the rapper, has been very politically active. And look, I'm not in alignment with a lot of his views. I mean, Killer Mike was a Bernie Sanders supporter. But he's an intelligent guy. He gave a great speech during the riots in Atlanta about how Atlanta needs to act with what's going on and how people can make an effective change. And it's not by burning buildings. It's not by burning small businesses. And in a lot of the cases, Black-owned small businesses. And a lot of what he said was great. I'd actually urge you guys to check out the whole speech if you look up Killer Mike Atlanta. But I bring this up because yesterday he met with the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, who's a Republican. And I think that the idea was them meeting together, focus on issues, what they do agree upon, what can be changed for the better. And I think that's how you effectively change things. Sure enough, knowing how the world is today, Killer Mike gets crucified basically mainly by Democrats of how dare you meet with a Republican governor, who they feel stole an election. And it's like the guy is effectively trying to make change. So I saw it, and here's what I wrote. I just wrote criticism of Killer Mike. Meeting with a governor he may not agree with shows how politically immature the world is. The only way you make any kind of progress in this world is finding common ground among people with radically different views, not by shouting into an echo chamber. I didn't think I said anything that profound. It was just how I felt. Shot it out there. Suddenly I noticed, because she follows me, Dana Lash retweeted it, which was pretty cool. Dana Lash has 1 million followers. She's this thing nice. Blew the fuck up. I had a viral tweet. And for those wondering, because Chris could tell you he's had viral tweets, not that exciting. It's just a lot of notifications on your phone. But my day didn't change. I didn't become a celebrity. No one was calling my phone. But it got thousands of retweets. And I was like, and the weird thing is, it got retweeted by everyone because I think it was like a bipartisan tweet. So I noticed I had like super right-wing QAnon people retweeting me. And then on the left, I had like Antifa people retweeting me. And those people, I'm almost like, I don't know if you've missed the point, because I'm saying we need to meet and be willing to talk to anybody,
I don't think that, whether they missed the point or not, you still did what it was supposed to be. Did you retweet it as Ian, or did you retweet it?
No, this was Ian Scotto. I don't. If it's my opinion, I don't put it on. I don't even know what your opinion on the issue would be.
That's the thing.
But yeah, but I just noticed. Shout out to Dana Lash. I noticed, and I've been following her career since she filled in for Michael Savage years ago. I know you've been on her show.
She does a good interview. There's people that do good interviews, and there's ones that don't.
Yes.
Like Bill O'Reilly, shitty interview, because it's just Bill O'Reilly. I hated Bill O'Reilly. That was like the first show I ever did. Awful, because it's just Bill O'Reilly. What can I do to make you look like a shithead? And I hated that.
I mean, you know what? I could just say this in my personal opinion. There's all this talk about cancel culture, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
People, but Bill O'Reilly, if you look at the stuff that he did, and he lives in the town that I'm in, this is coming from me. This is Ian Scotto. I don't consider to be a good person. I mean, if you look at his history with his wife and in front of his kids, I don't know if you want me to go into detail for people who don't know, but it's not like he said a bad thing. I just hear when the domestic abuse stuff, it's pretty serious. And Dana, and on the positive, I could say Dana Lash, much like Wilkow, who I worked with, they're very well researched, and there's a lot of people who I think feel that they could just get in front of a microphone and state their opinions on things. And it's just an immediate reaction with no research done. And Dana Lash is someone who has a great understanding of the Constitution, of the Second Amendment. And I think she's not someone who just shoots from the hip. And maybe that's why what I wrote appealed to her.
You're right. I would compare the two as the same. Being on both their shows quite often, I used to be. Lash, Dana, I would say Lash, Loach's show, and then Wilkow.
Yeah, you always say Loach.
I can never say it correctly. So sorry, Dana. She knows that. I'm sorry. I always mess up your name. But they are very well researched. They know. And I think it's the Super Beats, dude. I think it's the Super Beats.
That's true. They're both Super Beats. I didn't even think of that.
we gotta get some Super Beats. That being said, too, we'll get off the O'Reilly thing. Just using that as a comparison. She is a good interviewer because she listens. She gives you that chance to, okay, this is what I think, and what do you have to say about it? And granted, it is a friendly interview for me because of being a veteran. She's a huge veteran supporter. Huge supporter of the military. She does feel, and I think there's a lot of people in this country that feel what happened to us in Benghazi was a travesty. So I'm not saying that it's a hard interview for me, where if I go on a Jake Tapper show, it's going to be, even though I thought he was great to me as well. I had no issues with going on Jake Tapper show and seeing it. He treated me very, very well as well. But that being said, and she does a good job as far as just being prepared and treating her guests with immense amount of respect. And I've never seen her disrespect a guest, whether she disagreed with them or not. So that being said, that's awesome, because that's if you want somebody to follow you that is more on the right side, it would be Dana. I mean, because she's not in all these crazy theories. She's all right, this is what I think. This is where I'm pulling it from. It's well thought out using common sense. So that's outstanding.
Yeah. I just thought it was fun, but at the same time, as you kind of talk about, it's like I don't live to have a viral tweet. Like, it was cool, but it wasn't the biggest deal. Because I know some people, it's like, I just want to have a huge following on Twitter. And
but that's awesome that it was both the right, because that's what we.
It really was. If I looked at the followers, it was everyone from Bernie Sanders supporters to, and I think that is what, and actually, Killer Mike said, you guys should check out the full speech that Killer Mike made, in my opinion. But because what he said too was, he was basically like, I do not support rioting, burning down buildings, what was done to CNN's building. But he said, you know what, CNN? He said, karma is a mother.
Karma is a mother.
And if you go out there and you stoke the flames of divisiveness and hatred, and there's nothing positive that you have to say in the news, nothing to uplift people, this is what's coming back, and I do blame the media for that.
Hey, karma is a bitch, and what is it? What is it? I can't remember what Roan said, but stripper's name is Karma.
Yeah.
But he's right, and I don't know who what's his name?
Killer Mike, yeah.
Magic Mike, whatever. I don't.
You ever see Magic Mike? I'm a totally different subject.
Rappers to me are like DJ Quick, MC Breeze, Ice Cube. That's rappers. I don't know any of the new rappers. But that being said, those guys, the right and I ain't even saying right and left anymore. It's just, it creates divisiveness just by saying that. But having people they have different political views, coming together to try to solve a problem. That's what these two presidential candidates take your lead from the governor of Atlanta and our governor of Georgia, and also Magic Mike. I keep forgetting what's his name again.
Killer Mike.
Killer Mike. You have the opportunity right now. You've been given this on a silver platter. Here, Biden and Trump. Here, you have been given this opportunity to bring a country together. And you've also been given the opportunity, if you want to follow the devil's ways, to bring them and push them even apart even further. They could come together just like that and say, hey, we got to stop all this bullshit going on. Whether it's getting better regulation with the police, because there's police. Don't tell me there's not. There is some police brutality going on. There is. I'm not even going to say, I'm not an idiot and going to say there's not. There is. But also with the rioters and burning the buildings and destroying small businesses, you're not even hurting the people that you want to hurt. You're hurting people that may even possibly used to support your whatever movement I don't even know what movement it is now. But as presidents could be, the presidential candidates could really come together and bring this country together by showing some camaraderie, by showing some agreement, by working together instead of saying, "Oh, this is your fault. Oh, this is your fault." But that's how we are, man. That's how the presidential elections are anymore. Any elections are anymore.
Even the local elections. I don't know if you've seen the same thing. This is probably
yeah, I have.
The first time. I'll be honest. I might not vote in a congressional race either because I looked up the congressional candidates. Tom Suozzi, who's a Democrat here, I do not think has done a good job. So I'm not going to be voting for him. And then I look at who's running against Tom Suozzi in my district. I just go to his Twitter page and I want to see, all right, what is he going to do to lower taxes? What is he going to do about all different things? And there's a lot of Republicans I've seen this with. Their whole platform is like MAGA. I love Trump. And I'm like, but what changes do you want to make? That's great. But I want to know because you're the Congress. If you're going to become congressman, you're congressman for all of us, no matter who we're supporting. So I want to know, what are you going to do for us, the people? I don't really care who you're supporting in the presidential election. And that's become way more, and it is divisive. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I want to hear what your actual platform is. So to just be someone who comes out there and says, I support the president, I love what he's doing. And I'm not saying whether you agree with it or disagree with it. That's not a platform.
And I don't even know if we have candidates in any, you're right, state, federal, that have really good platforms anymore. It's a fault platform. Your fault because this is happening. Your fault because this is happening. Okay, we have maybe a few. I think ours is Bacon and Eastman, and I really don't care for either of them, John Bacon or Terry Eastman. I in Omaha, but it is more. If you see the ads come on TV, and I hate. That's why I watch movies. I don't even watch regular TV anymore because I can't even stand the commercials. But the damn commercials pop up on my kids' cartoon shows that he watches on YouTube. I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? But it's a fault. Oh, it's his fault. He's doing. Oh, it's his or her fault. Or it's like, shut up, guys. just shut up and find a way to come together. Would you love to see a president or an election, whether it's presidential, local, or state, for two candidates to actually come together and say, you know what, we agree on this. This is where our differences are. Here's my platform on the differences and what we agree on. Here's my platform and the differences, what also we agree on. So we've got both. You guys make the decision. It's not. It's just creating divisiveness and who can make the bigger what's the shock value on the, and I'm over it. I'm so sick of this shit. Because again, leaders, we have such an opportunity. Our leaders could make such a big example of how to do things and how to bring this country together with the opportunities we've been given with all this divisiveness and all this chaos going on by just coming together. I think if people saw Trump and Biden come together, you would have those crazy, oh, what are you doing meeting? But I think if they continue to do it and they said it in a way that we needed to bring this country together to stop destroying ourselves from the inside, people would rally around that. But are we going to have? Are they either of them? Do they have the balls to do it?
No, we're not going to see that happen. It's funny because I was just looking it up though, and this will be the opposite point of what we're making. But I did find it funny because everybody on all sides of the aisle are not a fan of this person. There's a Democrat running, Max Rose. I was looking up his name in Staten Island, and the one ad that he did is his ad is just him going, Bill de Blasio is the worst mayor of New York City ever. That's the ad. And that's it. That's all he says. He goes, that's the ad. And he's a fellow Democrat.
Oh my Lord. Well, I mean, it has about as much information in it as everybody else says. You know, say for Magic Mike out there, I know I'm making fun, bro. Because I follow I don't know any of the new rapper. I got no idea. But kudos to you and also the governor of Georgia to come together and work. At least you're trying to set the right example, whether others follow you or not. You tried, you did, and that is half the battle right there. Is getting out front, and I think he's, from what I understand. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm sure he's this way. Most rappers are very gregarious, very very outgoing. I'm sure he doesn't give two shits about it. Whoever's condemning him, like, I don't care.
Yeah, probably not. And the thing with him too is, I will say, man, he's a very politically astute guy. There's people who don't seem to have a grip on the issues, and they'll come out there and they'll state their opinions. He actually seems to really have a more widespread view of what's going on.
It seems like he cares about Atlanta. His
very much. Yeah, no, he spoke about the small business owners there and black-owned business there, and why are you going to destroy your own neighborhood? And but like I said, he's not a guy I agree with on many things. I just like seeing people come together and find some solution. I mean, for example, most Republicans I talk to and most Democrats I talk to are in agreement that we shouldn't be throwing people in prison for smoking marijuana. Almost everybody I talk to agrees on that. Prison should be for rapists and murderers and child predators.
Hardcore criminals.
Not a kid in the hood, selling a gram of weed.
And I couldn't agree with you more. We put an overburden on just the criminal justice system and just the housing, corrections. How much money is spent on corrections per day to have somebody? But yeah, we people can research that and study that, and that is one thing I do remember going through all that graduate level stuff when I was getting my master's of criminal justice, is the cost of corrections. And that's been an argument since when did I go through? 96, 97. It was the argument of, is corrections even worth it, and the money being spent, is it worth spending that amount of money to throw somebody in prison for selling weed? Well, that's a gateway drug. Well, maybe. I agree there. It's stuff that they do need to come together and figure out what's best. Now, releasing hardcore prisoners because of the COVID, I don't agree with that.
Crazy, ridiculous.
It's just hypocritical, man. It's just makes no sense.
It's stuff that any mainstream, I think, Republican or Democrat is in agreement on, and those are the things we can come together and say, this does not make sense. Let's do. I mean, there's no reason the U.S. should have the largest prison population. No. It's not because more of us are criminals. It's because we have a lot of absurd laws. It's
exactly right. I mean, we don't have any more criminals than a lot of if by the definition of what we call criminal. There are tons more outside the border of the United States of America. But coming back to politicians, that's the way the elections go. You've got to create these divisive differences. You can't come together and agree on anything because that doesn't get you votes. What gets you votes is how bad is the other person and how awful their choices and their how awful their whatever their platform is. Instead of, hey, well, you know what, they did well on this. We're going to keep this, but this is not. This is where I have my platform. It's a little different. But that's why I never could get in politics because you can't be a good. You can't be a honest good person to get in politics. You have to be somebody that's just conniving and two-faced and manipulative. And for you politicians out there hearing me, you don't like what I'm saying. You can't see me right now, but you can. I got two fingers up for you because that's what I think. And I've been around enough of them to and been in the middle of my own shit show of politics to know that that's the case, regardless of what political side you're on.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring up one more issue going on currently. I know we don't do a lot of current event stuff, but I just thought it was, this audience might be aware of it. I mean, have you heard about the whole canceling Netflix stuff going on?
I haven't, and then I read what you gave me the cheat sheet.
I just wrote cancel Netflix.
Yeah, I searched it, and I saw it. You could talk about it first. I've got my own opinions on it. I won't put a long opinion on it for me, but that's also my short opinions are about 10 minutes long too. But yeah, go ahead, dude.
You and I often talk about the whole boycotting of companies, and it's something we usually laugh about. We're like, you know what, Ben and Jerry's, they're super left wing. It's not, and you talk about Disney and them doing stuff with Kaepernick. It might not be stuff we agree with, but for me, it's never been enough to say I'm going to boycott this company because it is what it is. I might not be happy with it, but the Netflix stuff, I actually do think they've crossed the line completely. And I completely get why people are going to cancel Netflix, and I probably will too. I mean, to put a show on the air that is basically appealing to pedophiles, I mean, that's what it is.
Is that what it is?
What it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you have like 11-year-olds twerking on a stage, and they're like, oh, well, it makes a point about social, values out there and sex being sold to minors. Well, don't put that on the video, on demand for Netflix where people could watch that and stream it. You can make a point without showing that.
Yeah.
And I think people should be completely disgusted by it. And I think the only way you're going to get through to that we are not okay with it is to cancel Netflix. And I probably will myself.
Is the show is it condemning it, or is it actually perpetuating that this should be accepted in society now of pedophilia? Is that what? Because that's what I don't understand. I'm not familiar with the show. I read it, I looked at it, and I couldn't. So I'm asking opinion. And either way, I don't think pedophilia should be on air, regardless whether you're condemning. But that being said, I always say that being said. Always say that, man. I got to stop doing that.
We all have
I know, but that being said, you shouldn't. And for as far as the movement, the problem I have with movements is I believe they have the opposite effect. We're going to condemn this. We should. I guarantee you, more people they're going to watch that damn show, whether they don't want to or not. The curiosity is going to get to them in there. And I agree with you, dude. I think it's completely fucking wrong. I just think it has the opposite effect with the human nature, and especially us, the United States.
But I do think if people literally, either go online or call Netflix and say, hey, I'm canceling, and here's the reason I'm canceling. If enough people do it, they're going to realize that we're not, and it's not even just so much a movement. It's just, hey, I'm not giving you money to put this out there. As for what you were asking, I mean, it's a movie, and it's apparently a movie about how kids are being sexualized. But in the movie itself, you have 11-year-olds in like skimpy outfits doing very adult, dances on stage, like they're at a strip club. And I have no idea how anyone could say, we need to put this on TV. We need to put this on demand. It's disgusting.
It's virtue in society, which there isn't. It's why we have so many damn laws. The only reason we have laws in this country is because people don't have virtue anymore. If we had virtue and we listened to the Bible, we wouldn't need as many laws. But you think we can regulate ourselves? But that's getting back on the virtue, and whoever made it obviously has none. And I don't know, is doing it for shock value. Maybe they got a bunch of money for it. Maybe they believe that pedophilia should be should be accepted. And I'm telling you right now, no. And I'll never watch the show. Am I going to get in with the cancel Netflix movement? No. Will I cancel Netflix? Maybe. Will I watch the show? No. Do I accept pedophilia? Hell no. Catch you trying to pick up on a kid, I'll cut your nuts off. But I hope we don't edit that out because that's the God honest truth. Because that's sick as shit to have. There's a line where I'll accept things, and as right and left, and that's the line that you cross. That is.
I agree. There's always got to be there's always has to be a line, and when I saw what was going on with that, for me, that definitely crossed the line, man. That goes well beyond politics.
And you're right. It goes on with humanity. We're big on Battleline podcast. We are, and me and Ian are both about just being good humanity, being good humans. That isn't. And to say that we need to accept pedophilia as a what is it as a gender or what? How is it?
I have no. I guess sexual orientation, and I don't even know if that's. Bullshit. I think the thing is, and the people in defense of it are saying, well, this is a show talking about the issue of children being sexualized. But the whole point I'm making and that others are making, you don't need to actually show that to make a point. you don't need to do crack to make a point about hard drugs.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Good analogy. Yeah, you don't. Yeah, and if Netflix gets taken off the air, people cancel it or they go bankrupt, I wouldn't lose anything because of this. Hey, no. Karma's a bitch. Sorry, should have been an idiot. You guys should have been stupid and put that shit on the air. So, bro, I said I'm not big into movements because and a lot of times I see that it has an opposite effect. But I also agree. I agree with people if they said I'm going to cancel Netflix. All right, cool, no problem with it. Ian, same as you. Ian, I'm going to cancel it. Okay, I completely see your reasoning, and I agree. I would support that. So so it's hard. It's hard. I'm caught in a situation because I'm being a half hypocrite, saying I don't want to get in the movements, but people said I'm going to do this, and
yeah, I mean, for me, it's not even a movement. Yes, we're talking about it right now, which gives it publicity. I totally get it, but I'm never going to talk about it again. I'm just going to cancel it, and you're never going to hear anything about it again from me.
That's the perfect
I'm not going to be on a rampage about it.
That's the perfect way to do it, right there. Cancel it, shut the hell up. But then they go on rampages, and it keeps going. That's why I honestly believe that we have the Colin Kaepernick issue with the kneeling of the flag. And I said that if people would just shut up about it, it would have went away. But we keep. That's why I don't get into that. I hate Colin. He nailed. Okay, Neil, leave it alone. Just leave it alone and not talk about it anymore. I know I'm going to stand and leave it at that. With this issue here, where I'm getting at, cancel it. If you're going to cancel Netflix because of that reason, tell Netflix to never talk about it again, and it'll go away. It usually does. When you stop talking about something, it usually goes away.
Yeah, no, it makes sense to me, man. With that, are you watching football now that football is back? I'm not a big football guy. I've been watching my Islanders in the playoffs.
I really first of all, to say that people in the stands doesn't bring things to the game that's a lie. It's so boring. I tried to watch baseball, and baseball is not exciting. So with nobody in the stands, it's boring. It really brings something to it, but also because of their political displays, and I could care less anymore. It's not interesting me anymore. I don't want to see their politics. I have a special place in my heart for the flag because of what I've done for this country and what I've seen other people give even more, like Tom Block for this country. But no, it's not even fun to watch anymore, and it's sad because I remember doing that with my father. It was sort of when you watch football, Monday Night Football, and you can remember Howard Cosell back when I was younger, and hear that voice, or you're John Madden when he used to be the broadcaster for Sunday football, and all that special nostalgia that you grew up with, and you continue to watch sports because of that. That's gone because of the players. Yeah. They've destroyed it. They completely destroyed it. Here you go, egos. Have at it. It's yours now. I want nothing to do with it. And I played football. I love football. That's why I played for people. So I played for college. I actually was a pretty decent football player, and I grew up around Division I college football national championship team where my dad coached at Brigham Young University. Growing up around Steve Young and Jim McMahon, people like that, as I mentioned before. So football was with my family for years. My son plays in high school. But as far as pro goes, I'm over it. I don't know. I'm really over any sports anymore. I really don't care for any of it. And athletics was huge in my life all the way up through the military. So,
To be fair, even though there's been politics injected into it, for all of it broadly, I will say hockey has been the least political.
hockey,
if you watch
I
an Islander game,
ask,
you're not seeing a whole lot of politics.
and that's good. I didn't know. That's what I was going to ask you. Is hockey? I used to be a huge Flyers fan. I love the Philadelphia Flyers. I don't know why.
Yeah,
and,
haven't we both talked about how Philly fans are the worst?
I don't know what it was. Yeah, maybe it was their uniforms. But I think it was because I used to play the old EA Sports, and they were my favorite team. They had a guy that was tremendous. If I said his name, you'd probably remember. It was when Gretzky played, but it was a young guy coming up on the Flyers, and he was the fastest guy on EA Sports hockey. So that's why I like the Flyers. But yeah, and that's good to hear. I mean, one sport at least keeping it as it should be a sport because it makes people.
Yeah, there's been a little bit, but I'm just saying not nearly as much as basketball, for example.
Well, yeah, that's good to hear. I'm glad that there's still something that people can just watch and remember with their families, where we don't have to get bombarded by a side anymore or movements anymore or any of that other. And it's bullshit. Any of that anymore. Just live, man. Just live. Enjoy your life. And sports and professional sports are part of us enjoying our lives. It's entertainment, guys. It is. Sorry to tell you this. That's where you get paid millions of dollars. It's entertainment. So be entertaining. And let us remember what we did growing up with our mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters as we watched growing up over the years and remembering coming together, even if that was only that night for that week, like me and you did with your family. That one night, my dad was always gone, but on Monday night, he'd come home so we could watch football together on Monday Night Football. And again, I don't think players realize that they ruin that nostalgia. They ruin all that good of this country, which is part of professional sports, especially professional football, which is our football. Everywhere else is soccer. Here, they took it away. It's like they ripped away part of everybody's childhood, and they don't see it that way. Yeah, but it is what it is, and that's why I don't watch it. I turn it off because it's just it's almost like I'm just watching a shit show now. I don't want to watch it.
Well, coming to a close here with this show, and it's great having Tom on. Any final thoughts you want to share about Glenn Bub Doherty and Ty Woods and Sean Smith, and because people want to hear that from you.
Yeah, no, those guys were heroes. They're heroes. I hate it. Don't people call me? I'm no hero at all. Roan and Bub are heroes. I still remember before the mortars hit them, and I remember watching. I did a little post. I did the one post I ever do on Instagram, and I'm off. But before that, I had scratched up my arm. It fell off a wall when we were climbing into the consulate. The wall actually crumbled on me, and I had all this weight. I mean, I had just huge, massive scratches down my arm, which wasn't bad. I mean, it's scratch. I was lost. I almost lost his arm. I'm talking about the scratch, but they were bleeding pretty bad and stuff. And it would have been about 6 hours since that had happened, and Roan was on the radio. Roan was our medic as well. He was our 18 Delta, and Roan's on the radio because I got a spot. Anybody need any first aid and need me to come up? And I said, well, I've got some pretty bad cuts on my arm. Could you come up and bring me some bands? I was going to wrap it with gauze because I didn't have anything to put on it. So he brought he's running around taking care of everybody because he's our medic. So he's just going crazy. Roan was awesome. And he comes up, and I do remember him coming up, and he had a bottle of saline solution in this hand, and a bunch of gauze in this hand, and he had a wrap in the boat. So he's coming up, he's got his gun jangling, he's coming up all his on, and he's sweating just profuse. I mean, because he's just still kicking ass, he's still tearing up, and he rinses my cuts out, and then he puts a little shit, and then he wraps them up, and he says, "You good?" And I said, "I'm good to go." And he went back down, and then he went up to the roof, and boom, boom, boom. But it's just amazing that even through all that, his mindset was to still take care of us, and that was hard because that God, that because we're all thinking, hey, we got to defend, and I'm just thinking, I'm killing everything that's coming over this wall, and his mindset was not just that, but it was I still got to take care of everybody. But that's where you find most medics, and Tom talked about his medic. Combat medics are I mean, they're godsend. They're warriors more than just a warrior. Because they're looking to save all your lives while they're taking lives. And he was. I could tell he was just wore out, ragged, because it was about 4. It was 5 in the morning at that point. And yeah, I just remember him rinsing it out. We joked a little bit, and I still got a little scar. The scars have healed pretty good, but it still was amazing to me that he just was climbing up those ladders, taking care of everybody. He brought me a Snickers bar too. It's like, I know you like these. He threw me a Snickers bar because I was hungry, and then he got back off the roof. And it's fact because that's the last time I said anything to him too. And we didn't always get along either. Ronan, I'm not gonna say Ronan was my best friend or nothing. We were. He was a great teammate and a great leader. And we had our differences, but when all that was going on, every one of us that had our differences, they all were put aside. We didn't care about any differences. It was, let's just get the job done, and the job was to save as many people as we could. We tried to save everybody, but worse hell, what can you do? That's just how it goes.
Well, honestly, we love you, man. And I say we, meaning me, the audience, the people who followed you over the years, the people who go to Battleline tactical courses. And I'm not, I didn't mean to try to make you tear up. I know it's an important day. It's the elephant in the room. You can't not acknowledge
No,
it.
yeah, you have to. I have to get it out, or else it eats me up. Oh, I appreciate it, man.
You know what? On a lighter note, and we'll end it with this because I actually forgot about it because of how much we've done this whole show. Got a great email from John Fox. We also got I'll read real quick. We got a good review, and I really appreciate you guys who leave reviews.
Please.
Yeah, I'll read the review real quick, and then I have the question. But I thought this was cool. Someone wrote, Blue Ridge Blades on iTunes, Apple Podcasts wrote, I have listened to most of these podcasts, and it is awesome. I constantly hear you guys talking about writing things down. I'm a writer and reader with brothers and sisters like these in Western North Carolina. This is how we address our demons. Writing it down has helped me and my family. We have reached so many other veterans. Thank you for putting that word out. So I thought that was a cool review.
Yeah.
And I don't even realize how much we talk about writing things down, but apparently we do.
We do. You always tell, write it down because just helps get it out. You never know. That look back a few years after writing a ton of stuff down, you may have your own story to tell.
For sure. All right. And then here's an email from John sent to battlelinepodcast@gmail.com. And this is a great question for you. So with the COVID idiocracy going on, owning a firearm has become more common. Most people in my situation, husband, father of 3, limited income, thanks to taxes, are not able to afford training as often as we'd like. And classes are a once a year possibility if everything aligns perfectly. What drills can we do with a small amount of ammunition to improve our speed, accuracy, and lethality as firearm owners? Great question from John.
Well, if you can't go to the range, and it's just expensive. Now it's even hard to find ammo because of all the primers that people are running out of primers, and because all the primers, the thing that makes a bullet explode and go, a little explosive, they're all made in China. Again, how ironic is? Boy, we need to become our country. I've said it so many times. We need to become more self-sufficient and stop relying on other countries for things because we find ourselves in this mess. But dry fire exercises are great. You don't need any ammo, and all you're doing is you just get a little sheet of paper, little 8x11 sheet of notebook paper, draw a little circle or something on it that you want to aim at, press and practice pressing your firearm out. And I'm doing it, and you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm pressing it out and lining up your sights, making sure your sights are lined up, rear sight, front sight apertures are lined up, and then you just press the trigger, and you're watching to see if that muzzle dips. What you're doing is you're trying to control, trying to control that muzzle best you can, where you're not seeing it dip, where you're seeing it stay level. That helps. What it does is helps get you not only your practice sight picture, but it gets you better sight alignment, and it also helps you just have a good follow through, a press and a follow through on your trigger press, or sometimes they call it squeeze. I know a lot of you gun nuts don't like to hear squeeze anymore, especially all you cool guy instructors out there. But what it gets you a more level shot. You're going to have a more accurate shots time and time again. It's just called dry fire drills. And the best thing you can do is, honestly, if you need, just look on the internet. This is one of the great things the internet is for, is to learn basic stuff like this, just search dry fire drills. And there's only really one way to do it, even though you have 8 million.
I would assume as long as the person doing it is good, because anybody could make a YouTube video.
Yeah, but you don't have to get on a video. There are actually write-ups on manuals and the military, Army, the PM training manuals, dry fire drills. We have dry fire exercises. And go look for the actual manuals and it'll walk you through it. Those are the best things to do, and they're inexpensive, and you're doing it over and over again. You've got that habitual movement. You don't need to spend any money. You can do it right in your house. And then when you do have the money, go ahead and grab you some rounds. Just grab you good training rounds. Don't go spending a ton of money on Gucci rounds, which that's your home defense stuff. That's your hiding shop. That's your Fort Scott munitions, or your 115 grain. That's your look for range rounds. Some of them are reloads. They're not always going to shoot. They're always going to fire because they're range or reloads, but you're also not spending $1 a round, which is too expensive for terrain. But the easy thing to do is to get as dry fire drills. And if you have money, if you have a little extra money, it's going to cost you a little bit in the beginning, but it'll save you in the long run. There's this thing called the Mantis X dry fire system, or it's a drive live fire system, but you can put it on your phone, put a target downrange, and it will track every time you press the trigger, and it will tell you what you're doing wrong and what to correct on. And it's tremendous. I actually use it, and it's helped me become a better shooter. So you have to pay for that system, and it can get a little expensive, but in the long run, it will save you money because you won't be spending money on ammo. You can do a lot of your dry fire drills just at your house. So there you go.
Awesome, man. All right. Any questions? As always, guys, Battleline podcast at gmail.com. We just spoke about Fort Scott Munitions, so throwing in once again for you guys, Fort Scott Munitions is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition that is designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results every time you pull that trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in all 50 states, as well as directly online through fortscottmunitions.com. Use exclusive promo code Battleline for 15% off your order. Only available to listeners of the Battleline podcast. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Peranto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed this. And Chris, I thank you for taking the time today, man. I know that it's a wild day, and the cool thing for you, though, from what I know, is for once you're able to kind of chill at your house and not be doing a speaking engagement or something like that.
Yeah, that was hard. Those were the worst days, but that's when you learn. That 3 years after Benghazi was another chapter that I had to learn from through pain and suffering, and a lot of that was self-inflicted. It wasn't anybody else's fault but my own, but that was one of them. So yeah, this is lessons learned, and you learn from everything. But like I said, and we always say, keep grinding, just keep going forward, and you'll get out of it. And I did, and I'm in a great place, and we've got a great show going on here. And like I said, even me and Ian don't agree on everything, but the show, I think it works well because we have our disagreements and we still get along. At least I still think we get along, do we? Do we still get along?
I hope so, yeah. No, it's true, though. It is true. And it's, that's life, though. And I think it's also just part of doing a podcast. You don't talk to most of your friends about as much as we do. So you're going to disagree on some things here and there, of course,
But that's what brings the podcast, is that you can disagree. President Trump and Biden, you can disagree on things, and you can still come together, get along, and make something successful. And
not going to happen in that case.
Yeah, I'm just trying to throw it out there. At least I feel better that I've said something.
Yeah,
said something.
No, I think it's more on us, man. I think the labels sometimes, you and I are both center right guys, but I think sometimes the labels hurt us of that you have to come together as a group, and this group is your enemy. And I think people need to realize that, your political, the people who disagree with you politically, they're not the Taliban. They're your fellow Americans.
They didn't hit the trade towers. They didn't blow up. They didn't ram it with the two jets. I think that's what we need to figure out. We're not our own enemies, even though no, we're not. We're gonna have differences. It's okay. Have the differences. Fix problems that we have. Don't let other movements or groups try to pull you into their mass hysteria because they're making money off it, guys. I don't think you realize they're making shitloads of money off of our differences. And just turn it off. Just turn it off and go outside. It's as easy as that. I just don't get it. I don't get how much harder it could be to just turn all that shit off, go outside, listen to the wind blow, trees, the leaves blow, go talk to your neighbor. You guys aren't fighting. Everything's getting along fine. So, everybody's got to figure out for themselves. They just got to.
That's all for this episode of the Battleline podcast, but we'll be back on Monday with more American Straight Talk. Until then, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Battleline Podcast and on Twitter at Battleline Pod. To sign up for future Battleline tactical courses, go to www.christantoperanto.net. Believe in yourself, face all challenges head on, and as always, never quit.